there, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of the Nova Scotia Kitchens podcast, Laura's Creamed Hot Lobster. I'm Sherry Graham, and on today's show, you get to join me on my decadent visit in Laura's kitchen as she makes creamed hot lobster and serves it two ways. The timing for this episode fell into place perfectly. Because of a wild week of weather, the start of lobster season has been delayed until today, Saturday, December 1st, the day this episode will go live. During the holiday season, many people in Nova Scotia enjoy lobster as a special treat in dips at parties and gatherings, as a Christmas Eve meal or a New Year's Eve meal, so it's perfect for December as people are enjoying their first feeds of the season. Laura generously invited me into her home and served the most delicious hot creamed lobster, and I can't wait to share the recipe with you. Locally, the version that's served on toast is known as a hot lobster sandwich. The sandwich was named by Clara Harris, and Laura has been sharing it with many people at various events over the years. There are lots of links over at novascotiakitchens.com with the post, including a post that Laura shared of her visit with Clara, a link to a video of Laura making the hot lobsters on the Tuscan Islands, so it's definitely worth checking those out. Laura has years of experience in restaurants and with food, and I think you'll appreciate her tips and clear explanations as she talks through making the creamed lobster. Here we go.
So what I've done is I made a potato because I want to present the hot lobster over mashed rice potato.
Very nice.
And I'm making a quick caper coleslaw, carrot and cabbage with capers.
Nice.
Because I like a little decoration for the plate. It's actually, I guess, would be called more of a garnish because you're eating it. So. Right. So that's what I was doing.
I'm so excited.
Now, yesterday I cooked the lobster, so they're ready to be shucked. I had 15 pounds. I had a dinner party here last night.
Oh, nice.
And we did poached lobster, is where I cooked the lobster.
Yes.
And I take the meat out raw, but I don't like to just. Some chefs will kill the lobster alive.
Yeah.
And I don't like to do that, so I do steam them for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
Chill them on ice bath to stop the the cooking, and then I poached it down in a butter and wine sauce. So
nice.
It was delicious, and I served it over a lobster risotto, which I made the lobster stock. So it just went so well.
That sounds so good. I have never heard of doing lobster that way. So is it, I'm thinking of like peaches. Is it similar to, you dip your peaches in boiling water so the skin comes off easier? Is it the same idea that they'll come out of the shell easier?
No, they're not that easy coming out of the shell. Not bad. But I took scissors, to get the tail out, flip up, and just get the tail out intact.
Nice.
It was a big hit last night.
That's awesome.
Big hit. Well, the reason why I didn't check these ahead of time is I wanted you to be able to get a picture.
Yeah, awesome.
So that's why I didn't. How long have you been doing what you've been doing?
I've been doing this since March. My first post went up in March of 2017. So I worked on it for months before that to get everything all.
And you're a school teacher, I understand.
Yeah.
And you have 2 children.
Yes.
Yes, you're a busy mom.
Yes, and we have chickens and honeybees.
And you have a hobby. So did you grow up with that? Is that something you would have grown up with?
With which part?
With the chickens. You mentioned
my dad raised pheasants when I was a kid, just for fun. He's kind of like I am. Like he's like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll do it.
Yeah. So you're passionate about it.
There's so many things to be excited about.
Yeah. Did you grow up there?
In Sanford. So that's where my parents are. Yeah. So. Yeah, my dad's actually a lobster fisherman, so.
So lobster fishing season is starting. So if your dad was a lobster fisherman, you've had a lot of beautiful lobster.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're not going to need all this lobster, but I'm going to have to check it anyway. So the hot lobster, which I'm making today, is so popular in Yarmouth and County, Acadian Shores, and it's it's not as predominant. Like, if you go to Halifax, you don't really see it. Although I see a couple of restaurants now kind of doing it up there. And I think there are people that have moved up there from down this way or who have experienced it. Because you really don't see it in other restaurants. But I've been making hot lobsters for years. Yeah. But then I met Claire Harris. Yeah. Back in 2000 when I worked at a busy seafood restaurant. Yeah. She was planning the menu there, and I met her. Okay. And I learned or discovered that Claire was the first one who gave the hot lobster sandwich a name. So when I started blogging, I wanted to interview her, and I did. I interviewed her at 92 years of age in her home. I said, Claire, I have lobster. I'm coming to visit. Will you go over your steps to making a great hot lobster sandwich? And, well, she didn't miss a beat. You know, I brought the lobster. She was so excited. Together, we made hot lobster, and I documented it under Claire Harris, under Laura's Taste. Yeah. Did you get a chance to read that? I did. Okay, good. So it was a nice little story on her. Yeah. And I remember seeing, I saw her after that, and she had never read the story.
Oh, really?
No, she said, this is what she said, Laura, I don't know what you wrote about me, but people are stopping me in the street and saying, oh my gosh, Claire, I love that story on you. Aww. And Clara had no idea. She said, I really do have to read that. And that was 2 years after I had written about her. Yeah. So she would have been like 94. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. My neighbor, Gwen Trask. Who,
yes, Gwen.
Yes, she was my first episode of the podcast, and she made her molasses cookies. She is just lovely. And she knew Clara. Yes. So, yeah.
She would have known Clara. She probably was a good customer of Clara's. Yes. Quick and tasty.
The Q&T, she calls it, and she still goes.
She's such a nice lady, Gwen.
Oh, she's lovely.
So isn't this beautiful, fresh lobster meat? It's gorgeous. And I don't overcook it, so because we're going to cook it more, you wanna keep it juicy. Yeah. The lobster meat. All right, so let's crack a few of these claws. Let's get a little bowl for this. It is so messy and it drips.
To be able to see. And it smells and I don't know.
Yeah, I should have saw the kitchen last night. All right.
So I know you've worked in lots of commercial kitchens. You have a career in food.
Well, I have a career more in restaurant management, but I did own my own restaurant in which I worked in the kitchen. And as a young girl, I was a line cook. Oh, okay. But it was all like the fried food. Yeah. Hot lobster, though. Yeah. Hot lobster.
Been making it for a long time?
Yeah. Been making it for a long time. And was one of my, well, I absolutely love the taste of it myself. And my mother loves it. And that's where I get it from. So whenever I have a lot of lobsters to shuck, I call my mom and I just say, Mom, come on over, let's shuck some lobster. And she gets really excited. And she has 8 children, so when I want to get her to my house, because she's busy, she has a very busy lifestyle, she's one of these older ladies that when you call, well, when are you coming, Laura? Well, I'm going out with the ladies, and I'm going upstairs, and there's live music tonight. I'm not available tonight, you know. So it's kind of funny. If I want my mom, I got to say, hey, Mom, I got lobster. I was thinking about making hot lobster sandwiches.
You need a bribe.
And I bribe her. And then she's like, or Christmas Eve. I like to get her on Christmas Eve, which doesn't happen very often. She's in her 80s now. But 2 years ago, she got together with me and we shucked about 50 pounds of lobsters together. And I got pictures with Mom, and it was super cool.
Nice.
And my dad was also a fisherman like yours. Yeah. Early on when I was younger, and then he was a boat builder after. Oh, okay. So we grew up as young children with a lot of lobster. I'd be sent to school with lobster sandwiches, and I'd try to trade them for peanut butter because peanut butter was too expensive in the day. Yeah. So here I'm just taking out the knuckles. A good friend of mine, Eric from BCD Fisheries, showed me once how he shucks his lobsters just with a little fork. Yeah. So I just it's just like super quick to shuck, and you need one tool plus a knife to give it a good crack, the claw. Crack, crunch, and pull it off just like that. How easy is that?
It is messy, but
So here I am 2 weeks before the season opens. Lobster season opens in 2018. having a feed, as we call it, because I couldn't wait.
They're so good.
Yeah. I'm thankful to the fishermen who risk their lives and fisherwomen out there for us so we can have lobster. And I mean, it's their livelihood, but I wouldn't want to be out there doing what they're doing, and I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard work.
So we've got quite a bit of meat here. We'll be able to start the hot lobster sandwich soon. And I wanted you to see how fresh the lobster was, so I didn't pre-shuck it.
They're so pretty.
Do you want to taste?
I'll wait, actually. I'll wait for the finish.
How about the claw, though?
Okay.
You want one?
I can't say no to
You're
a
not
claw.
hard to convince.
Claws are my
You
favorite.
are not hard to convince.
Twist my rubber arm.
Okay, this one's for you.
Oh, thank you. Yum. Thank you.
I'm one of these messy cooks, you know. I try to get everything everywhere, and then I have to take a minute to clean up. Oh, it's perfect. It's cooked just right, not overdone.
No, it's perfect. I have not had lobster probably since May.
Okay, great.
So that tastes extra amazing. Oh, the claws are so good.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. And thank you for coming out to the house today. It's a little bit of a drive out. I have, when I sold the restaurant, I put myself in my baker's station here, so I can find everything that I need for cooking.
Yeah.
So it replaced my commercial kitchen that I left behind, let me say that.
Yes. I was going to ask you about your renovation. So what are some things in your kitchen that are taken from a commercial kitchen-ish?
Well, I have the coffee station here, so coffee menu, your coffee with I really make a mean cappuccino or a latte, or even just, a caramel hot beverage, whatever.
Nice.
So I have put in a sink, so a bar sink.
Yeah.
So which is my coffee station,
Yeah.
and then over here I put in a bar fridge.
Oh, very nice.
And so I can keep it well stocked. It's also in my workstation area, so I do keep cream and butter and eggs and things handy to grab for baking. I put this area here, so when I'm cooking, which quite often I'm cooking when people come, so they can sit here and talk to me while I'm doing what I do. So
very nice. And I have to ask, I have no idea, what is this thing?
So this is olive oil. It holds olive oil.
Yeah. Really?
And it's called. It's got a name, but it's an olive oil vat.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And they sell that in Halifax. So I really like it.
Nice.
Keeps it all in one spot. All right, so we're ready to make the hot lobster.
Perfect.
I actually do culinary experiences for the hot lobster sandwich when people call and ask me that. So I've been through the process several times. Now, when I interviewed Clara, she uses vinegar in her hot lobster sandwich, and that's not something I do.
Yeah.
But she does, and she claims that it helps to thicken the cream and also takes away the fishy odor. Sometimes lobster can be a little fishy. So some people do it that way, but I don't do that. But what Claire did tell me, and which I may have known, is that when you heat your pan, you want to make sure, I'm cooking in cast iron today, but you want to make sure your frying pan is nice and hot.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put some butter in it, and we're going to let the butter sizzle and get nice and hot. So why don't we put cold lobster in a cold pan, cold butter? Because immediately when you heat it, it doesn't get the color you want. The butter absorbs into the lobster, but if it's nice and hot, it won't. Yeah. So that's the key to keep a nice sizzling butter going. Yeah. So we've shucked this beautiful lobster. We're going to just take a minute. I don't want to take the flavor away, but I do want to soften up the water. Yeah. I don't want to put water in the pan. Right. So that's so carefully, because you don't want to take that nice juice away. And then when I cut my lobster, I always cut it in nice sized chunks, about like that. Yeah. Or maybe half that size, which let's say it's about, let's just say 3/4 of an inch pieces. Yep. For those who can't see the size of them. And the claws, there's a little bone in there, so you want to remove that. Yes. It's not fun to bite into one of those. not. Now I also will take a rolling pin and I will take the meat out of the legs, and I just want to show you this. Now the pan's heat, we're not gonna forget that, but I'm going to show you what I do with these. What I do is make a dip out of the meat that I get out of the paws.
Okay.
Look at the meat that comes out of that. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Quite a bit of meat.
Beautiful. Oh, totally.
And so I often will do that and make a dip rather than send them out to the compost. All right, she's sizzling, so we're gonna add some butter. Or she's hot, I should say. The frying pan, cast iron, nice and hot.
Cast iron's my favorite.
Yeah, I bet. Any good cook, yeah. Any
It's just the
experienced cook, I should say, likes the. Can you hear?
Even heat and the versatility, and you can pop it in the oven.
Can you hear that sizzle?
Oh yeah.
So the recipe I'm following today is about 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to let it sizzle before I add about a cup of broken lobster meat.
Okay.
And then I'm going to saute the lobster for a few minutes and add a cup or so of cream. And I'm just going to let it bubble vigorously. So I'm going to put a little extra butter, as you can see. You want to get a good butter going because that's what's going to caramelize the lobster, which is what you want to do.
And nobody ever complains about extra butter.
They do not. Do not complain. I'm a butter girl. I love butter.
Oh, me too. My favorite food group.
Well, after last night, I had our poached lobster. I think it's that way for me as well. So you don't want to burn your butter. Key. If you burn your butter, throw out and start again. Do not put beautiful lobster meat in burnt butter.
That would be a tragedy.
So you can see now. So what I want to do is I really do just want to let that get nice and hot. And we're gonna let the lobster juice seep out of the lobster now. And it's going to be caramelized by the butter. And you're going to see a little bit of, you're going to do this until you see a little bit of red sauce juice, its own juice in the butter and the lobster juice. So is this something you would eat at home, Sherry, for Christmas Eve, or?
Well, my husband has a shellfish allergy, and my boys don't like lobster, so
you're going to have to come to my house. So you can see now how the lobster has a little bit, you don't really see the white as much as we did before. There was more white.
Kind of tinged.
It's tinged with almost a buttery red. So it's almost ready to add the cream. So what I do is I use half whipped cream and half blend.
Okay.
And again, everyone does it differently. This is how I do it. I don't really exactly measure, but I'm just starting with whipped cream. And then we're going to give it a stir around, and you can see already that whipped cream is great color. Now, hot lobster to me needs to be served over really good bread. Mm-hmm. So I personally never serve hot lobster unless I have a homemade bread. So I make a herb bread, which I made yesterday, Sherry, because I knew you were coming.
Oh my goodness, all the preparation.
So I want you to see.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Hang on.
So that's the bread, and what I do is I make a white bread because it just goes better with the white bread, and I do a nice onion and parsley garlic top.
Very nice.
On it.
And you garden, right?
I have a garden, and that's parsley from my garden. It's still out there even though it's November. So when the juice soaks into that toasted bread, it's a whole different experience than getting it on a store bread, like a commercial, something you'd find off of the shelves at the grocery store.
Yes.
Total waste. So as you can see here, Sherry, in the frying pan, it is quickly reducing. It's getting what we call sec, dry.
Yeah.
So I need to add some more cream in there. And now I'm going to switch over to blend, like a coffee creamer blend. And the thing about this, it naturally reduces. You do not need to use a thickener in it. It's going to naturally reduce, and you want to keep the heat high.
Yeah.
And I use the word boil, and what I mean by that is a very rapid. You want to see the bubbles, and you really just want to let it go and boil. Earlier on when I was making hot lobster, I did it differently, and since I have more experience with it now, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And I made a nice coleslaw for you as well.
Oh, I love coleslaw.
So we're going to present the cream lobster 2 different ways for you today, because I'd like you to see
I feel so special.
2 different ways. So I made a rice potato, so we're going to make a little square of buttered rice potato. We're going to serve the cream lobster over the top.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to do some cream lobster over a piece of toast. Nice. So you can see that is a traditional way that they serve it in the restaurants. Now, I did a culinary experience on Harris Island.
Yeah.
We had a sold-out group came, and it was over 50 people. We played at Hot Lobsters on the island for over 50 people. I brought glass plates because, again, the experience is not just taking the bite of that hot lobster on the homemade bread, but also it was going to be on a glass plate.
Yes.
Because I couldn't justify serving that on a paper plate, right?
Would soak through. Oh, that'd be disaster. Yeah.
Which there is a video on that out there if anybody wants to see that.
Oh, yes. If I can't find
on
it,
YouTube.
I'll ask you for the link.
Yeah. It's on YouTube under Laura's Taste.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I haven't checked out the YouTube yet.
And then we're off to Boston in February. I went last year. I'm going to be presenting the hot lobster experience at the Boston Globe Travel Show too.
Oh, nice.
In February. So. With Bay Ferries is part of that.
Oh, gotcha.
Look at the difference. Look at that. How nice is that?
Thickening right up.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Love that.
It is.
I'm not going to cook it much past that, Sherry.
Okay.
I like that. I like that consistency.
Yeah.
It can get glucky if you let it go too far.
Yes.
So we're going to just let that rest.
Okay.
And when we're ready to put it over, what we're going to put it over, we're going to heat it up, and then it will just be ready to go. So it's done. So to talk about Christmas, you're right. Lobster is very Christmassy. Like for example, Christmas Eve, it's something we always like to do.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, I'm always looking for lobster.
Yeah.
And I guess now 2 weeks before the season.
Yeah. I was thinking lobster. Yeah.
Yeah, thinking lobster, but if lobster tends to be, and because the price has changed so much, and I mean over the last 4 years, the price of lobster has tripled.
Yeah.
Or definitely doubled.
Yeah.
So it becomes more expensive, so then people are eating it more on holidays like Christmas or Easter or Thanksgiving. So, all right. So let me just.
Lovely. Yes.
I guess I don't have to clean up, right, Cherry? We're
no.
good. That's fine. I'll just finish making the coleslaw, and then we can.
Perfect.
Then we can start up again. Put some a little cabbage and carrot. Cabbage, carrot, capers, a little Hellman. When I don't have time to make my own mayonnaise, I like the Hellman for these sort of things. Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me when I sold my restaurant was just to have my own work area.
So tell me about your coleslaw. What do you put in yours?
So we have, let's see, cabbage, grated cabbage. We have carrots. We're going to add some capers without the juice, just to give it that little taste. So we're going to add some capers.
Yum. So salty.
Nice and salty, yep. That's almost it. Like, doesn't that look yummy?
Yeah.
So I think I would like to, because I don't want to waste this little bit of carrot, we're going to throw the rest of this in. I'm all about not wasting. Use what you have. I don't like to compost it unless I have to. And same with the lobster, about sustainability and how they fish their lobsters. Like, that's important to me. The more I learn about that, the greater importance that is to me. So a lobster is a living creature, and so when we kill a living creature, whether it be, an animal or seafood or, the lobster, you want to use it all. Like, make a stock out of the shells.
Yes. Yep.
Take the meat out of the leg. Take the meat out of the body. Eat the tamale if you like it. Those sort of things.
agree.
All right, so let's cut some bread. I can't wait for you to taste this.
I can't wait to
Cannot
taste it.
wait.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And you want to serve it hot. So one of the other things I'm going to do, Sherry, is I'm going to mic the plate or put it in the oven, just get it nice and hot before I plate.
Yeah.
Because hot lobster tends to cool down very quickly.
Yes.
So there's another suggestion.
Good tip. And you are ricing some potato.
So I'm ricing potato. I'm throwing a little bit of pepper in there.
Oh,
A little
perfect.
salt. All right, so that's good. I'm going to give it a stir. Put a little sprinkle of my pink rock salt, my favorite.
Ooh.
And pepper. And then we're just going to stir it. And I'm going to put it in a mold to give a little square.
Oh, this is also fancy.
Okay.
It's so restauranty. I love it.
All right, so that's easy. Got it in the mold. We're going to get this going. Again, let's heat this up. And because it's set there, it may need a little more cream, but it's looking pretty good. But you know, I want a little more cream in that. So that's the thing about the hot lobster. It's forgiving in the way that if it goes a little dry, add a little more cream.
Yeah.
You can't really ruin it. The
Yeah.
only way you can ruin it is if you overcook the cream. It will sometimes get glucky.
Yeah.
And then it's just got a consistency and
It's not
texture
nice.
that
Yeah.
you would not serve it.
No.
Let me put it that way. And you know, it'd be really nice that I got some chives. These are not from my garden, Sherry, because my chives didn't quite,
I think you can probably be forgiven.
Yes.
Chives are one of my favorite things in the garden. They're so good.
And they're wonderful. And eggs. And
Mm-hmm.
I do like fresh, light chives sliced ever so thinly without anything really done to them.
Yeah.
Just to sprinkle over the hot lobster.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put a little pepper over the top, because when you add pepper to cream lobster, it gives it again a little bit different taste, a little bit different when you bite into it for flavor. It's one that I really like. So how do you know it's a lobster cream sauce? So what is the definition of sauce, Sherry? So
Tell me, Laura.
Okay, well, I have to say, like, I didn't get it, but in my culinary classes, which I'm attending, a sauce coats the back of the spoon. And I think it's NAPPE, it's called NAPPE.
Yeah.
So that's how you know your sauce is ready, is when you put a spoon in it and lift it up, and it coats the back of the spoon.
So that's
And
what makes
does
it a
not,
sauce.
you can call it a sauce if it does that. And I don't think you can call it a sauce if it does not do that. I think there's rules with that. But see that? See how nicely that coats the back of the spoon?
Yeah.
We're good to go. So let's have a little coleslaw there. A little bit of coleslaw on the side, maybe.
Oh,
Not too much at once. And let's put a few chives on there.
It's beautiful.
There, bon appetit.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's beautiful. Can I take it by window? Take off the
Sure.
shirts?
Take it outside. Do what you want. It's yours. It is yours. I'm giving you a fork
I
right
feel
now.
Oh, this is so lovely. Thank you again so much. Like
What-
a million
what-
times
yeah.
over.
Yeah, sit there and enjoy that. That was it.
It is so good.
It's still warm.
Mm-hmm. It is so creamy and
Wonderful.
perfectly salted and lobstery, and the potato is perfect.
Perfect.
It is so good.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm delighted.
It's so nice to cook for someone who truly appreciates good food.
Yes.
You're going to save room for the second one.
Oh yeah, right. The capers in that coleslaw are perfect.
The capers?
Yeah, I've never had capers in coleslaw, and I love it.
Wonderful.
Delicious. It's a new thing. I love it.
A new thing, salty
New thing.
twist.
Yep.
And you know what? I don't know where I came up with that, but when I opened the restaurant, I introduced it at my restaurant, and everybody loved it.
Yeah, it's really good because it just adds a little extra dimension.
Yeah, so, a popular way at Christmas to have lobster is just boiled. Boiled lobster dipping in garlic butter.
Yeah. You can't
It's a
go wrong.
great way to celebrate with friends over Christmas.
Very simple. Yeah, I think a lot of people do Christmas morning breakfast, do like an egg lobster of some variation,
Right.
which is also lovely. What do you do for Christmas morning? Do you have a traditional Christmas morning breakfast?
That's a good question. Oh my gosh, it's not lobster because my daughter comes for Christmas.
Yes.
I do sneak in like lobster dip Christmas Eve, but make sure she stays, away from it. But we have a fruit platter, and we do eggnogs, we do Irish coffees. And we'll do some kind of like quiche or something like that. Yeah. Lots of fresh fruit. Was it last year or the year before we did, often we'll do crepes.
Oh, yeah.
With whipped cream and some kind of sauce, strawberry sauce or whatever sauce. And our little granddaughter Claire loves that.
Yum.
Or pancakes or crepes. Now, shall I check on the toast, which is in the oven? Yeah. Ooh, this is what perfect. I wanted. Yeah. That's what I was looking
nice
for.
Even golden. Yep, beautiful.
Okay, so here's the trick. People serve their hot lobster over toasted bread. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to serve it burnt. Yeah. Like often when you get a hot lobster, you'll see one burnt edge and it comes out. Well, it just ruins the whole visual appearance. Mm-hmm. So for me, everything has to be right on the plate. Yeah. On all elements. And then another rule of thumb when you're plating, it's 2 fingers in from the ridge. Okay. Always 2 fingers in. Never keep it dainty. Yes. Keep it dainty.
I love all the tips and tricks.
So since we're just doing the sandwich without anything else, I was thinking maybe we could put it on my too small to plate? Do you want to put it on a bigger plate? This is my my Aunt Chantal's on my husband's side.
That is so pretty.
She passed away and she left me her set of dishes, and this is the Queen's bouquet, Queen Elizabeth, during the royal visit to Canada in 1939. And it came with all these pieces. But it's it maybe is small. And often when I present, I like to present on my dishes are old antique. I love antique dishes, and here's one, Sherry, that my dad gave me when I was 13 years old. Pink girl and blue boy.
Sweet.
I think maybe we'll play it on pink girl today. So the trick to plating hot lobster sandwich, and truly there is no trick, it's quite simple. However, I don't like to burn toast. Yeah. We're going to serve it on a hot plate. Yeah. And we're going to put 1 piece of bread underneath. 1 piece of bread underneath. We're going to...
The gold rim.
That's my gold rim.
I thought you put it in. I was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. I'm not going to say anything.
Actually, it's good. It's fine. It's not. It's actually fairly. It's fine. Okay. We'll use it anyway. We won't use it with the gold rim. Don't make plates with gold rims.
Another pro tip.
Yeah. See, I never make that plate. See. Okay, so this is looking good.
Yeah, beautiful.
And we're gonna put 1 whole piece on the bottom, and I do like to give it a little bit of butter, but not too much because there's a lot of butter in the already in there. So we're gonna just give it a little bit underneath. And of course, in the restaurant world, if you cut the top piece in half, and instead of set it directly on top, if you spread it out and leave an inch gap, okay, inch gap. Does it look like you're getting more for your money? We all know the price of lobster here. Tell me now, it's $32 to $35 a pound of frozen vacuum packed meat. Yeah. When you do a hot lobster sandwich, generally in a restaurant, it's 4 ounces of meat you're getting. Yeah. So then what you're going to do is drizzle this juice into the toast. And you pretty much cover it all, no edges of burning showing, burnt toast. So we have obviously more cherry on this sandwich because I knew you were coming, it's for you. But you would never get a hot lobster that looked like this. And we're going to add a little pepper. And now today we're actually cooking with this hot lobster sandwich with fresh lobster meat, but often due to demand and what time of year it is, you have to, restaurants especially have to work with a vacuum packed, good vacuum packed product, of which there are several out there. Riverside and Metagan,
Yes.
Camoes and Metagan come to mind.
Yeah.
You know, there are many others. It's done in a brine, so it can be a bit more salty.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to watch out for what
Yeah.
product you're using if you're going to top up with salt.
Right.
I use fresh, and
Yeah.
because it's a naturally salt water product too, you know,
Yeah.
we're just going to do a little pepper. And you could put coleslaw on that plate if you want. Like usually serve with coleslaw and French fries. And we'll garnish with chives, and we're done.
That is delicious. And the toasting is totally key, because then you have your like crunchy barrier before you get to the nice inner part of the bread.
Well
But
said.
it's not like the glue. It doesn't squish down because it's got the nice texture to hold it. It's really good.
Good. I'm so glad.
Oh, it's very
So
good.
glad, and you appreciate
Oh, I
such
do.
good
Thank you.
food.
Thank you. I am like, yes, very thankful right now. This is so good. Thanks so much again to Laura for welcoming me into her kitchen for an especially decadent meal. It was so generous. You can find Laura as Laura's Tastes on Facebook and Instagram. A printable recipe for the hot creamed lobster, as well as links to all of the other things that we mentioned and photos from the visit, are up over at novascotiakitchens.com. A quick housekeeping note, I'm going to be taking a bit of a winter break again this year to plan some visits for season 3, so I will be back in March. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season with people you love. I'll occasionally be posting some things that I'm making in the kitchen over on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks so much to Julian Smith for the podcast music, and to Adam Graham for technical help and for generally being awesome. And of course, thanks so much to you for listening. You can connect with me on Instagram as Nova Scotia Kitchens or on the Facebook page. And I'll be back with a new episode in March.